What's your home? Are you too good for your home? Answer me! I'm a peacock! You gotta let me fly! Have you ever met a person you say, hey, let me get some parfaits? They say, hell no, I don't like no parfaits.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Welcome to Brickwall Cinema, everyone. And today we're talking about The Iron Giant. Now, Sergio, you're familiar with The Iron Giant, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Me too. All right, let's get into basic info. It's rated PG, directed by Brad Bird, released in theaters on August 6, 1999, with a runtime of an hour and 26 minutes and a budget of $70 million, and a gross worldwide of $23 million. That's not good.
What was the budget again?
$70 million, and it
grossed $23 million.
Yeah. And it came out, here's a synopsis. In the small town of Rockwell, Maine, in October of 1957, a giant metal machine befriends a 90-year-old boy and ultimately finds his humanity by unselfishly saving people from their own fears and prejudice. Now, back to that budget, Sergio. I blame Star Wars and also blame Christopher Camelot.
Who's Christopher Camelot?
It was Warner Brothers Animation's movie that came out before this one. They put more budget in, they put more money in that one, and it bombed hard. It was back when they were trying to fight Disney by making movies that are like Disney. You know, remember that era?
No.
Really? Like where they have like a funny comedic sidekick that's voiced by a comedian or like a famous actor. They had Julia White, the voice of the guy who played Urkel as a chicken with the axe.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Talking about Quest for Camelot, man. This right here.
That came out in 1998. How would I know that?
You know, 1990. No, The Iron Giant that came out in 1999. So I don't want to hear.
Yes, that's because I saw it after it came out on like DVD.
You guys saw this when it came out on DVD. I saw it in DVD.
So how would I know about the movies that came out during that time?
Because of DVD.
But I only saw the Iron Giant. The other ones I heard nothing about, so I had no idea.
That's a you problem. It really is a you problem. It's on DVD. I bought it on DVD. What am I supposed to say about that?
I saw it on DVD because my family had it. They did not have anything else.
Anyway, here's the trailer for Quest for Camelot so you can get a better understanding of what we're dealing against. God.
On May 15th, a mythical king summons the bravest hearts.
I want to save Camelot.
Let's go! And the dizziest dragons for the most magical quest of all. Quest for Camelot. Rated G. Starts Friday, May 15th at a theater near you.
So now do you see why they cut the budget for Iron Giant?
No.
It lost a lot of money. It bombed hard. Usually an animated like movie like Disney will be like $100 million. That's a normal standard. But for Iron Giant, it got $30 million less.
They did really well with that budget though.
It's did. Really good. They did a lot of impossible shots in that movie. Even with the opening, I heard that when they're transitioning when you see Sputnik and that giant flying down to Earth, like crashing on Earth in the clouds, everything, that's all CG, and transition to hand-drawn was one of the hardest things they had to do for the whole movie.
I have a question. Was the Iron Giant mostly 3D? Because in most of the shots, it looked like it was like 3D animated.
Yeah, he was 3D the whole movie.
Oh, okay. So they did what they did in Tarzan, just better.
Yes. I mean, you're throwing shit at Tarzan. That was unexpected.
Well, Tarzan didn't really get what didn't really bring in the audience as they expected, because Tarzan, while it is a good movie, they just tried doing a hybrid between 3D animation with 3D backgrounds and 2D animated characters, but it didn't do as well as they hoped it would.
Yeah, it did. It was a hit.
It was a hit, but it didn't do as well as they thought it would because they wanted to bring back some of the old traditional, more hybrid things, and then they just transferred into 3D animation.
No, Sergio, this is a big hit. It was a budget of $130 million and it made $448 million.
Which one are you looking at?
Tarzan, 1999. Came out the same year.
1999.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a big year, too, for movies.
Wasn't that during the Renaissance age?
Yeah. That was
okay.
That was the end point of the Renaissance. Like, that's like the going downhill.
So that did happen at the end of the Renaissance, which... Yeah, why did it go downhill?
It's still considered part of it.
Why did it go downhill, though?
Because they're just doing... Well, it was after Emperor's New Groove came out, that sort of bombed. Even though people love it, it still didn't do that well. And after that, they had Atlantis, Treasure Planet, and Chicken Little, and it's just going downhill from there financially.
What came out after Chicken Little?
I think it's Meet the Robinsons.
Meet the Robinsons still all right? I remember seeing it, but I don't know.
Let me just make sure. Yeah, came out 2007.
Okay.
Wait, no. Home on the Range. Was it Home on the Range? Hold on. 2005 for Chicken Little. No, that was before. See, that's where it went downhill too.
So I guess during that time they started doing more goofy and comedic kind of movies, and they didn't bring in the audience as much as they were expecting it to.
Because what they're doing was doing what worked for them in the past, where they had a sidekick or a main character that's voiced by a comedian or an actor that's very famous and doing goofy things.
All right.
So back to Quest for Camelot, they did that same thing in that one and it didn't work. And so then they got Daring Giant. It was like, how do I put this? It was more.
They didn't have a lot of faith in.
No faith was seen by the studio ever when they were making this movie. Even to the point where they had to they actually turned off the lights in the studio they were making in the movie in because they were shutting it down as they were making the movie.
Yeah, I remember that it was originally it was released only on DVD, but then it gained a following and popularity, and then they started to release it in theaters.
No, you got that mixed up. They released it in theaters, but then it bombed. Then it went to then it went to DVD, and it went really good. It was like a huge hit on DVD and TV. They really showed it on Cartoon Network on Thanksgiving, like a 24-hour stream every time on Thanksgiving. And
so it's a Thanksgiving movie.
Thanksgiving Christmas movie. There's knowing at the end of the movie, so you can give or take.
There's no Christmas in this movie though.
Around that era, Sergio, like in the fall. But as I was saying, then it got so popular that they released the signature edition of Daring Giant, where they had 2 extra scenes in it, and then re-released in theaters for a limited time because of that. Does that make any sense?
Uh-huh.
Did you see the signature edition?
I don't know.
Well, they added a scene with Dean and
I know this. I don't know the scene about Dean, but I do know the scene on which the giant had a nightmare.
Yeah, which actually makes a lot more sense than in the first movie because if you see the first movie, see the movie the regular cut, Dean just gets very paranoid out of nowhere. I mean, after he let his guard down, and the moment he sees the gun, he's like, nope, okay, he's bad. I always knew he was bad. It's bad person, bad robot.
Uh-huh.
But now, since we see him actually seeing what the like sort of like a what's it called cross connection with the remote, like with the TV, that makes a lot more sense of him seeing what he saw and explaining why he's got more paranoid like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. So let's go into our favorite scenes then. So Sergio, what are your favorite scenes? Are you thinking about it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think my favorite scene was him having the conversation with Dean, with the Iron Giant with Dean when he is eating the sculptures that he made. And then then Dean has to explain to him what art is.
There are 2 kinds of metal in this yard, scrap and art. If you got to eat one of them, eat the scrap. What you currently have in your mouth is art.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that scene.
And Giant just takes it out and starts peeling it. And he's like, forget it. And he brings it down and it's like, actually, that's not bad. I just thought like that was such a quick turnaround, but then I understand so much of what it's like. It also reminded me of a scene from The Legend of Korra where the 2 of the Beifong sisters are having a fight, and one of the sister's sons, a sculpture gets knocked over, and he's like, "Oh no, my art!" And then he runs over to it, and he's like, "Oh wait, that's not bad." I can just totally see a sculptist like just making something with metal, having it tip over, then panicking, thinking that it's ruined, but then actually saying, "Oh wait, that's actually better."
Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. I just didn't see that show. You have any other favorite scene?
Let's see. I think that's about it. Or other than the giant, just 2 other scenes. I think one is just a small part of the scene where the giant is flying, and then he starts activating his defense mechanism on jets, and then he just blocks his eyesight, saying no. That felt to me like a sort of growth for the character where he gets more aware of what he is doing. And this other one is when the giant finally goes through like a rage and starts turning on his weapons against the army after he thinks that Hogarth got hurt.
Yeah, because he has nothing to lose now. All right. I have 2 favorite scenes. One is the giant giving a hand in the kitchen. Get it? Do you get it, Sergio?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't think it's funny, do you?
Not really.
God, it hurts to have a comedic partner that doesn't laugh. Anyway, I love how just the whole like prayer that Hogarth has to give all the robots in the kitchen.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We thank you for the food that Mom has put in front of us and stop the devil from doing bad things and get out of here, Satan.
I just think that's really funny. And it also leads to like Kent Mansley coming in. And it's also another thing that they added into the signature edition was when the hand was watching the TV, they initially had like an old TV cereal commercial in there. But then they added, in the newer version, they added a commercial for Tomorrowland, the Disney ride. Did you catch that?
I've never been on the Tomorrowland ride, so I can't say.
Well, it's not really a ride. It's more like an area in Disneyland.
It's been a long time since I've been in Disneyland, so I'm not sure if I can actually say anything because I don't know if I've ever been in that section of the park.
Oh, well, he also, like, I thought that was a little nod to the movie he directed, Tomorrowland, which I think is one of the most frustrating movies I've ever seen in my life. That's his second? Yeah, I think that's his second live action movie, Brad Bird. And it's terrible. It's from Disney. Did you see that movie, Sergio?
No.
Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it had a cool premise, but it seemed so complicated. That's the best way to put it. Everything just felt complicated.
It's like if Star Wars just put all its entire plot line into just one movie.
Yeah, and I might not be the first one to say this, but it should have been animated. That's the biggest thing about this movie is like everything's so cool. Yeah, the effects look really cool, but I would prefer to see it in 3D or CG. I know they're like doing their live action movie adaptations of their superhero of their theme park rides, but this one failed because no one knew what the it was. I don't know, man. It really pissed me off. There's a lot of questions you can give in that movie, like to hold a pen, but not really until you go to the place. It frustrates. Oh my God, I'm not gonna go into a whole Tomorrowland rant. If I do, we're gonna be here for more than 3 hours. Anyway, back to what were we doing? The Iron Giant. Yeah, the Iron Giant. My other favorite scene was the ending when you see the giant come back together. I think that's one of the most satisfying endings I've ever seen in a movie ever. What about you? What do you think?
About what?
The ending.
I liked it. I can't really say too much about it. The ending gave me when I first saw this movie. That gave me hope for like a sequel. Then I heard about when it came out, how it didn't really do too well. So I was thinking like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. And watching now, it gives me like a happy feeling. But then I think about like how we're not going to see anything else related to the Iron Giant, and I'm just like, I just get kind of sad. Yeah, but I'm actually kind of happy about that though, because we don't need like a franchise or anything from Iron Giant, and it's really self-contained where it doesn't need to be a sequel. It's just a cool way to end a movie. Same thing with Back to the Future. But we're going to talk about that later on our Back to the Future episode because I know for sure we're going to do one. But when they're making the first movie, they weren't planning on making a sequel. It was just a fun way to end it by them. Yes, Sergio, we're going to stop me. Yes, because I thought you said you wanted to keep that to when we're going to do the Back to the Future.
Yeah, but I was going to give a brief summary of what I was going to say. Give it an example. Why would I just mention Back to the Future and not mention why Back to the Future?
Because you just said that you're going to talk about that when we do that movie. I'm going
to go into detail when we talk about that movie. I'm saying we give a brief explanation for this one. What I was saying was, in Back to the Future, they weren't planning on making a sequel, so that's why they just had it end on the phone note of them going to the future. That's it. And it could have ended there. I'm saying the same thing with Iron Giant was we don't need to see what they're going to do with it. And Brad Bird doesn't even want to have anything to do with the second one unless it's a really, really good story. That's the only reason it'll come back. That's why it took them 14 years to make Incredibles 2. And would you want to see a Iron Giant sequel?
Yes.
What if it was CG?
Yes.
Now see, I understand why you do. I would watch it, but I don't want it if I can control it. Because there's nothing really we can expand on it. I mean, yes, we could. Actually, I take it back. There's something we can expand on it, but I feel like it's gonna ruin what we have for the first movie. Because I bet in the sequel, they're going to explain where he came from and give more explanation on why he's there to Earth. And I don't need that. Do you?
That sounds very interesting to me, actually. Because the whole reason that we don't understand anything about the Giants is because we do not know why he's sent to Earth or anything like that.
Exactly.
Based on the original novel, it pretty much plays out exactly as it does in the movie, where he just appears out of the ocean. And we know nothing of why he's there. We know nothing. We know absolutely nothing of why he's even at Earth in the first place.
But in the book, he also was in London and was fighting a dragon. So I don't think that's a really good comparison. I'm
The whole
sorry.
point of the dragon was that it's a peaceful creature that was corrupted by the fact that humans kept being very violent. They showed violent behavior, and the dragon was corrupted by that. It was originally very peaceful and just sang songs out in space. It wasn't until it encountered humans that it became corrupted like that. The whole point of the story was that human nature corrupted something very innocent and beautiful.
Right. And I think it's really smart how they put it in the 1957 era where they just released Sputnik in the air and people are worried in Russia about America's trying to beat the Russians to go into space. And it won't take until like 1969 until they get on the moon, but that's another story for another time. But you know what I mean, right? Where it's like a scare, like a paranoia. And that feeling of it in this movie is really cool. I like that.
You see that in the comic book called The Red Menace that shows up on the screen, showing like how in this era they are scared of an ideology that is not theirs, which was kind of the whole thing during the Cold War. They were scared of communism because of the fact they were enemies with Russia.
Okay, so this might be a good way to transition to our favorite quotes because I have one of my favorite quotes about the situation here. So one of my favorite quotes is Kent Menzu saying,
What am I talking about? I'm talking about your gold-on security, Hogarth! While you're snoozing in your wooded jammies back in Washington, we're wide awake and worried. Why? Because everyone wants what we have, Hogarth. Everyone. You think this middleman is fun, but who built it? The Russians, the Chinese, Martians, Canadians? I don't care. All I know is we didn't build it, and that's reason enough to assume the worst and blow out the kingdom come.
But I think that's one of my favorite lines, especially that line where I'm saying, while you're snoozing in wooded jammies back in Washington, we're wide awake and worried. That's like America's catchphrase.
True, but then remember in an earlier scene, it showed him talking to the general who was just watching cartoons as he's getting ready to go to sleep.
How can you tell it's cartoons?
Because that's what it shows.
But they're animated. How can you tell the difference between a cartoon and a cartoon?
Okay, then go back to the scene and tell me what do you think it is.
Okay, I will. And you're gonna look so stupid. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It just a guy on a horse. It could literally just be a movie. It could be a live action movie. What was your point with this?
My whole point is that he's the only one paranoid while everyone else at Washington, who he says is wide awake and worried, are just doing normal stuff.
Oh.
They're not worried about this at all.
Okay, I get you now. That's starting to make sense now. But I think okay, now I want to talk about some other favorite quotes. It was once Kent Mansley goes to the town for the first time and he talks to and he investigates with one of the people there and him saying it might have been a robot and he's like, no, sir, big things happen in big places. And he goes home saying,
Enormous beast, yeah. Biggest thing in this town is probably the homecoming queen. Oh my God!
Also, do you know that was a reference to something? That was a reference to the actor's previous work. So you gotta respond to something, man. I can't talk to myself here.
Chance, you're speaking about things I know nothing about. I've already told you.
Okay, tell me if you don't understand because I'm getting frustrated right now trying to explain to you and you're not answering at all. It's just silence. Say something. It's a podcast. I don't know. I don't see you. They don't see you.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Hello?
You're not gonna talk about the recent the actors of the work or what?
I am, but you're not. You need to tee me in here, man. You got to help me get through it.
I already said that. I don't know what you're talking about, so I thought you were gonna talk about it.
Remember Happy Gilmore?
No.
Okay, so
wait, hang on. Is the actor who plays Kent Mansley honestly, I don't even know what his name is.
His name is Shooter McGavin.
Oh, so he's the basically.
Yes. There's a part in the movie where he talks to a guest there, and they're saying Happy Gilmore is gonna kick your ass, and he's like,
You mean the big guy?
Yes. And there's and this happens.
That's not possible, sir.
I beg to differ. Happy Gilmore accomplished that feat no more than an hour ago.
Well, moron, good for Happy Gilmore. Oh my God!
Honestly, side note, Christopher McDonald, he's one of my favorite villains in any movie ever. He always plays a villain, and he's always my favorite part of the movie. But do you think they think that was a reference to that? It came out 2 years before this movie.
I'm not sure. I guess it could have been, but it just seems like a normal reaction when half of your car is missing.
I have one more favorite quote of mine. It was when they're about to launch a missile, and And the general's talking to Kent, saying, "The missile's targeted to the giant's current position. Where's the giant, Mansley?" He just looks right behind him, and I don't know, the way it's shot, it's like he just pans and you see this angry giant just looking at him like, oh. "Oh, we can duck and cover. There's a fallout shelter not far from." "There's no way to survive this thing, you idiot. You mean we're all going to die, Mansley, for our
Are you playing out the entire scene?
No, f*** you. Fine. What else do you want to talk about? Let's talk about the characters then. What do you think of? You get on my nerves. No, f*** you. I need to say that. I'm sorry. Anyway, what was I talking about?
You're talking about your favorite quote was when Kent Mansley launched the missile.
No, we're done with the Kent. We're done with the quotes. F*** the quotes. Let's talk about the characters.
Characters?
Yes, characters. You're lucky I'm not a gun, Sergio. If I wasn't, I would shoot you right now.
That's very sad considering why this movie was made.
You know, I take it back. I didn't mean that. I'm very infuriated right now.
I know. Should I explain to a reason what the idea of how this movie was made?
Go ahead. And also, I just want to say that I'm sorry because I did not realize I was saying what I meant. I was making a joke, but yeah, I get why now. Continue. Explain to the audience.
Yeah. The director, but his sister got married, and her and her husband, their house was broken into, and she was killed at gunpoint. And so during that sad point in the director's life, he came up with the idea for this movie, saying, by explaining it in one sentence, what if a gun came to life and didn't want to be a gun? And you can see that explored as when Hogarth introduces the concept of a gun to the giant, and the giant gets scared and starts activating, and you see the first instance of it activating its defense mechanism. And you can see how the giant, even though he seems to be about a weapon of mass destruction, seems to value the very concept of a living being. Kind of like how I remember from a comic from the Transformers that when Optimus Prime first came to Earth in one of the recent comics, he looks at the Earth and he sees all this life and he thinks it's so beautiful. Then he hears a crunch under his foot and he sees that he crushed a deer by accident. And he's there with a human boy, and the human boy tries to say it's okay, it was an accident, but Optimus Prime knows very much the value of a life, that he just took a life. And it's a very sad thing. That whole theme is I think, very beautifully visualized in this whole movie. As you can see, the whole reason why the giant doesn't want to kill or hurt anyone at first is because his friend is the one who taught him the value of living. And his friend, and along the runtime, as he experiences more and more about the Earth and with the people around it, he finds other things to live for, other things that are worth meaning.
Thank you for explaining that to the audience, man. Honestly, I want to preface by also, I just want to say that I was making a joke about me shooting Sergio. I wouldn't shoot Sergio. I don't have a gun. That's the only reason why. Anyway, also, don't worry about it, Sergio. The trailer, also, you bring up Optimus Prime, and you know the voice for Optimus Prime actually did the TV spots for the Iron Giant. Like he did the voiceover.
What's that mean?
Like, you know, in the commercials, they say, coming this Friday, Iron Giant back in the theaters, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's what he did for the Iron Giant stuff. Like this, look.
You're 9 years old.
No, that's not it.
9 years old. The first thing you hear is the first thing you hear, you're 9 years old. How much longer do you want to keep this going? Because I gotta work at 3.
Hold on.
You're 9 years old. You're watching TV.
Darn, a perfectly good brain wasted.
When all of a sudden...
Come on, stupid antenna.
You go to investigate. Your conclusion?
Invaders from Mars.
Anyway, I just think it's funny that a person that's known for voicing a big metal robot is doing voiceover for the Iron Giant.
I am curious about one thing though. The Iron Giant, whenever it walks around somewhere, you hear it stomping, and yet when it eats the antenna and the TV antenna, it doesn't make a sound.
Yeah.
I always wondered when I first saw that, I thought it was strange. Like,
really?
Why did it not make a sound? Because it was so quiet. They didn't hear anything. There was no shaking, no clanking, nothing. It was just the TV going haywire.
I was more focused on the fact that Hogarth has a gun with the flashlight on the front of it, but the flashlight the front of the flashlight is so wide that if he shot the gun, then it would have hit the flashlight.
Uh-huh.
That's all I was focused on.
True, but it's a BB gun, so I don't think it would do that much damage.
It will still do damage.
Like a dent, maybe, but other than that, it's not really going to do anything.
I think it's actually beautiful how the first time he discovers that there's a robot or something foreign that he doesn't know anything about, like an invader from Mars, the first thing he does is trying to get a gun and shoot it. And that's exactly how everyone thinks, how the government thinks when they first hear about a robot landing from Earth. Did you ever think about that?
I thought that was just more about the fact that that's what he learns throughout everything he's seen in media, and also because of the news. Because this is during the Red Scare, when people are scared about invaders or like foreign forces coming to their country and doing God knows what. And with him just seeing like alien horror movies, it's pretty understandable why he would come to that kind of thinking.
Yeah, I mean that too. I just think it's really interesting to like think about that, like how, because this is clearly they wrote the story first and then animated afterwards, like figured out the animation afterwards, which is very noticeable here.
Yeah, that's how an animated film does it.
But you know what I mean, though, Sergio. Like the story, how significant it is, made it a bigger part of it than any other usual animated movie where it's about the kids first and stuff like that. No, they pitched and made it seem like they even got rid of the opening to the Warner Brothers logo before it. They had to change it off because initially they were gonna have Bugs Bunny over there in a carrot before the movie started, like to do with every other animated Warner Brothers movie. But no, they did a core thing by having a Sputnik sound effect in the background with them doot doot doot. Well, it slowly comes out of the Looney Tunes logo. That's a nice way of making it seem like it's a bigger thing. They intentionally did that. Brad Bird, the director, actually planned on having like the Present It in CinemaScope logo before the movie started because it was supposed to pay homage to the movies from the 50s and 60s, like the alien invasion movies that were in widescreen. But the owners of it, Fox, denied it, even though he has some roots in Fox with doing The Simpsons and everything. So they didn't let him a bone. I thought it was a pretty interesting fact. Like they went out of their way to make it seem like it's not a kids movie. But yet it's still really hard for me to show my dad this because he sees it as an animated kids movie.
I think that's just with everyone because of how Disney usually advertises their stuff towards kids, but this overall theme and story relates more to an adult. I think it's just more like that's just how people have always seen animated media as something for kids and only for kids, even though it's more of a genre that can be used to express any number of things.
Right. I love this movie, man. It's very passionate about this movie. If you don't notice. And I'm not trying to get mad at you, Sergio, but it's just that I'm so passionate that if I have someone, I need you to rebuttal me like immediately. If I don't, I get mad. Not against you, but just how passionate I am about this. Does that make any sense?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I get what
it's like. It's like trying to shake someone up. Like, are you excited? Are you excited? I'm not really excited. Well, I'm excited.
Okay, so basically just anytime you get excited about something, then you tell me and expect me to get excited.
Yes, and like really calm about it the whole time.
For anyone who's watching this movie, you want a clear idea of how me and Chance interact off screen. Just look at the scene where Hogarth drinks coffee and is talking to Dean. That's just basically I'm Dean and Chance is Hogarth in that scene, basically. That's just our entire conversation. Just him talking, I'm just listening.
I'm challenged to hold on to my lunch money because of all the big mooses who want to pound me because I'm a shrimpy dork who thinks he's smarter than them. But I don't think I'm smarter. I just do the stupid homework. If everyone else just did the stupid homework, they could move up a grade and get pounded too. Is there any more coffee?
Oh my god. Yeah. All right.
Is there anything else to talk about?
Do you have any notes?
No, not really. This is a pretty clear and cut story. It's not really too much to dig into besides what we already did.
All right. Let's go to our ratings then. You go first.
I would give this a 5 out of 5.
I know we've been having a lot of 5 out of 5 movies lately, so bear with us all because it's also gonna be another 5 out of 5 for me. Trust me, I promise we're gonna do a lot more movies. We're gonna do a lot of movies that suck. Calm down, okay? You're gonna hear us get more and more angry at each other. We might even end it early because we might get so heated with each other. And I've noticed what you guys want, don't it? Aren't you? I kind of want it. See, that guy over there wants it.
Why did you do that?
Do what?
Why'd you just back away from the camera and then make that noise?
That wasn't me. That was that guy over there. Anyway.
All right, that's the end of our episode.
I'm Chance.
I'm Sergio.
And have a cinematic day. Hey everyone. Thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day.